Before the red carpets. Before the awards. Before the world saw her as a queen, Viola Davis was just a little girl with big dreams, and even bigger struggles. Born into deep poverty, raised in a rat-infested apartment, and bullied for simply existing, Viola had every reason to give up. But she didn't. This is the story of how a young black girl from Central Falls, Rhode Island, turned pain into power, rejection into resilience, and silence into a voice that echoes across the world. Viola Davis was born on August 11, 1965, the fifth of 6 children. Her family lived in extreme poverty. No hot water, no food in the fridge, rats running across the floor while they slept. She described her home as a condemned building. Even as a child, she wore second-hand clothes and went hungry for days. One of her earliest memories? Running home from school to avoid racist kids who threw bricks at her. The world made her feel invisible, unworthy. But there was one thing that kept her going: acting. She didn't just watch movies. She studied them, hoping to escape, even if only for a moment. Despite the chaos around her, Viola had a fire inside, a quiet belief that she was meant for more. In high school, she joined the drama program. For the first time, someone saw her. Her teacher told her, "You're special." That validation lit a spark. She went on to study theater at Rhode Island College, then attended the prestigious Juilliard School, where she was one of the few black students. At Juilliard, she faced microaggressions and pressure to conform. She was told to tone it down, to play it safe. But Viola refused to shrink to fit in. After graduation, Viola struggled for years. Casting directors saw her as too dark, too intense, too strong. She was offered roles like crack addict or desperate mom. Rarely leads, never glamorous. But she kept showing up. Every audition, every rejection, every step, she built resilience. Behind the scenes, she questioned herself. Will I ever be seen for who I really am? In 2008, everything changed. Viola Davis had just one scene in the film Down, opposite Meryl Streep. But in that single scene, she delivered such raw emotion that she earned an Oscar nomination. It was only 8 minutes of screen time, but it left a lifetime impact. Hollywood finally paid attention. But even then, Viola knew, recognition is not the same as representation. There was still work to do. After her breakout performance in Down, Viola Davis was offered one of her most high-profile roles to date, Aibileen Clark in The Help. Set in the Jim Crow South, The Help tells the story of black maids working in white households, and the emotional and racial challenges they face. Viola brought depth, dignity, and quiet power to Aibileen. Her performance earned her another Oscar nomination, and made her a household name.
Like, these women's stories are worth it. It's like the famous quote says, I don't care how putrid a person's life is, I don't care how ordinary a person's life is. If they're going through something, their stories deserve to be heard.
But Viola later admitted she had complex feelings about the role. I just felt that at the end of the day that it wasn't the voices of the maids that were heard.
Promoting this movie and having to kind of defend my choices in playing a maid in 1963 Mississippi, 2011, I've had to find my voice. I've had to find my voice as a woman of color.
Still, she said yes to the project to tell a story the world often ignores, and to open doors for more complex, truthful stories in the future.
Also, it's because a lot of times you don't know how a project, or most of the time you don't know how a project is going to turn out. But it helps that when you have a foundation of great talent, and and people who take risks. Right. So
even when the role wasn't perfect, she used her platform to start important conversations. Because for Viola, acting was never just about fame, it was about truth. In 2014, Viola made history. She became the first black woman to win the Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series, for How to Get Away with Murder. During her speech, she said, "The only thing that separates women of color from anyone else is opportunity." She wasn't just acting anymore. She was leading, representing, creating space for others. Viola began producing, mentoring, and building projects that centered underrepresented voices. She was no longer knocking on the door. She was building her own. In 2022, Viola became the 18th person in history to achieve EGOT status, winning an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony Award. But when asked what she's most proud of, she doesn't name the awards. She says, "I'm proud I never gave up on myself." In her memoir, Finding Me, she opens up about trauma, healing, and the power of telling your story truthfully. She wants the world to know, you are not your past. You are not your pain. You are what you decide to become. Viola Davis didn't just chase her dream, she fought for it. Through racism, rejection, poverty, and pain, she stood tall. Not because it was easy, but because her purpose was louder than her fear. To anyone watching this, your past does not define your future. Your struggle can become your strength. Viola once said, "I lifted myself out of poverty, not by dreams alone, but by relentless effort, by knowing that I was worthy." So the question is, do you believe you're worthy too?